Have you ever felt like you're on the brink of a major breakthrough, but everything suddenly gets harder? It's like you're running a marathon. You see the finish line, but then a huge hill appears out of nowhere. You're not alone in feeling this way. In fact, this pattern of pain right before glory is something we see clearly in the life of Jesus and his disciples. He was constantly preparing them, not for an easy road, but for a journey that would involve trials before triumph. Today, we're diving into 7 unique signs that show how Jesus prepared his disciples for the difficult path that led to ultimate victory. These aren't the signs you always hear about. We're going deeper into the scriptures to uncover some profound lessons. Our first sign is a strange one. A sudden, unexpected command to leave. Think about it. Just when things seem to be going well, you're told to pack up and go. This happened right after one of the most incredible miracles. In Matthew chapter 15, Jesus feeds a massive crowd with just a few loaves and fish. It's a moment of incredible power and provision. You'd think they would celebrate, maybe set up camp. But what does Jesus do? Verse 29 tells us that leaving that place, Jesus went along the Sea of Galilee. He immediately commands them to get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side. Imagine being a disciple. You've just witnessed a miracle. The crowd is buzzing, and now you're being rushed away. This abrupt departure was a lesson. It taught them that God's plan is always in motion. Moments of glory are not destinations. They are fuel for the next leg of the journey, which often begins with a command to leave the comfortable and familiar. It's a preparation for the constant movement and change that defines a life of faith. The second sign is even more perplexing. A command to do the impossible. In John chapter 2, Jesus is at a wedding in Cana, and they run out of wine. This is a social disaster. Mary, his mother, turns to him for help. And what's Jesus' instruction? He tells the servants, fill the jars with water. Then he says, now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast. Think about the servant's perspective. They're being asked to serve water as if it's wine. It's a request that defies all logic and could get them into serious trouble. This is a profound form of preparation. Jesus was teaching his followers that obedience to his word often requires stepping out in faith, even when the command seems impossible. He wasn't just solving a wine shortage. He was stretching their capacity to trust him beyond their own understanding. He was getting them ready for future moments when they would have to rely solely on his power, not their own ability or logic. Our third sign is the experience of being misunderstood by those closest to you. This is a deep and personal pain. In Mark chapter 3, Jesus' ministry is gaining momentum, and he's so busy that he and his disciples don't even have time to eat. His own family hears about this. And what's their reaction? Bersa, Bingtuno says, when his family heard about this, they went to take charge of him, for they said, he is out of his mind. They thought he was crazy. Can you imagine the sting of that? The people who should have been his biggest supporters were publicly questioning his sanity. This was a crucial preparation for the disciples. It taught them that following Jesus would sometimes lead to isolation and misunderstanding, even from loved ones. It fortified them for the reality that their commitment might be seen as foolishness by the world, and even by those within their own circles. This experience builds a reliance on God's approval above all others. Now for our fourth sign, a direct test of faith in the middle of a storm. This is more than just a random storm. It's a spiritual boot camp! In Mark chapter 6, the disciples are in a boat, straining at the oars against a strong wind. They are exhausted and terrified. And where is Jesus? He comes to them, walking on the water. But instead of immediately calming the storm, verse 48 says he was about to pass by them. He wasn't just showing off his power. He was testing their perception and their faith. Would they recognize him in the storm? Would they call out to him? This moment prepared them for future spiritual storms. It taught them to look for Jesus not just in the calm, but in the chaos. It showed them that even when it feels like he might pass by, he is profoundly present and in control. This builds a resilient faith that isn't shaken when the waves get high. The fifth sign is a sobering one, a warning about betrayal from within the inner circle. As they approached the final days before the cross, the atmosphere grew tense. During the Last Supper, an intimate and sacred meal, Jesus drops a bombshell. In John chapter 13, verse 21, it says, after he had said this, Jesus was troubled in spirit and testified, very truly I tell you, one of you is going to betray me." The disciples were stunned. They started looking at each other, wondering who it could be. This wasn't just a general warning about future enemies. It was a specific, painful prophecy that the deepest wound would come from one of their own. This prepared them for the harsh reality of human weakness and the pain of personal betrayal. It taught them that their ultimate trust must be in God alone, because even the closest human relationships can fail. Our sixth sign is a powerful and personal encounter with their own weakness. Peter was arguably the most confident, outspoken disciple. He was the one who always spoke up. The one who promised he would never abandon Jesus. But Jesus knew Peter better than he knew himself. During that same Last Supper, in Luke chapter 22, Jesus tells him, "I tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows today, you will deny 3 times that you know me." Peter vehemently objects, but Jesus' words are a direct confrontation with Peter's self-reliance. The painful fulfillment of this prophecy wasn't just a failure. It was a necessary breaking. It prepared Peter, and by extension the other disciples, by showing them the absolute insufficiency of their own strength. It was only after hitting rock bottom, after seeing his own weakness so clearly, that Peter could be rebuilt into the rock upon whom Jesus would build his church. True strength is found in recognizing our utter dependence on him. Finally, our seventh sign is a promise of a new divine helper. After all these difficult preparations, the departures, the impossible tasks, the misunderstanding, the storms, the betrayal, and the personal failures, Jesus doesn't leave them empty-handed. He gives them the ultimate promise. In John chapter 16, verse 7, Jesus tells his grieving disciples, "Very truly I tell you, it is for your good that I am going away. Unless I go away, the advocate will not come to you. But if I go, I will send him to you." This wasn't just a comforting thought. It was a strategic transition. The pain of his physical departure was the necessary prerequisite for the glory of the Holy Spirit's arrival. He was preparing them to move from a faith dependent on his physical presence to a faith empowered by his indwelling spirit. This promise was the light at the end of the tunnel, the assurance that their pain and loss would lead to an even greater glory, a direct, personal, and constant connection to God himself. So, as we look back at these 7 signs, we see a clear pattern. Jesus didn't just lead his disciples into hardship, he intentionally prepared them for it. Each trial was a lesson, each pain a preparation for the glory that was to come. If you're going through a season of difficulty right now, if you feel like you're being stretched, tested, or even broken, take heart. It might just be that you are being prepared. The pain is not the end of the story. It is often the dark, fertile ground where God is cultivating something glorious. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this message resonated with you, please give this video a like and consider subscribing for more content that dives deep into the Word. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Which of these signs stood out to you the most? Until next time, stay strong in faith.